Well, I just discovered some insane news here in Australia. Many people can't drive. It's illegal to drive a Hyundai Ioniq 5, Kia EV6, and even a Tesla Model 3 and a Model Y. I'm kidding you not. Now, in some states of Australia, it's legal for young people, as in 18-year-olds, to drive cars like Lamborghini Huracan or the Porsche 911 GT3, but not those EVs that I just mentioned. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. Great to see you. Thank you for tuning in and thanks for supporting the channel this year, particularly Patreon supporters, YouTube members, and all of those who have donated to our GoFundMe campaign. There's been, I think, about 4,000 people now, and I really am so appreciative of your support this year because it's enabled us to afford the kind of treatment that has helped massively towards us being able to mitigate the cancer, the stage 4 cancer. So if you want to know about that campaign, I'll put a link in the description. In Australia, we have some pretty strict road regulations. But in some states of Australia, it's legal for people to do just about anything. I mean, in the Northern Territory, for example, a lot of the highways have virtually no speed limits, which is incredible considering the rest of the country is very highly regulated when it comes to speed limits. And our speed limits are very, very low in comparison to many countries around the world. But what concerns me a little bit more is the fact that in New South Wales, if you're a P-plate, I mean, between the age of about 18 and 22, I mean, you could be older than that, depends on when you get your license. But if you're someone with a provisional license, which it takes years to get rid of, you can't buy, own, drive, whatever you want to call it, a Tesla Model Y, a Model 3, a Hyundai Ioniq 5, or a Kia EV6. Now, I'm sure I've missed some cars. I'm sure there's other electric cars that you can't own and drive. But either way, I think these rules are truly bizarre. But what is even more bizarre about this is if you're a learner driver, as in if you're a 16-year-old, 17-year-old, etc., and you're learning how to drive, as long as there's someone sitting beside you in the passenger seat, you can drive any car you want. Doesn't matter if it's a Tesla Model S Plaid with 1 million horsepower. Doesn't matter what car it is. Doesn't matter if it's basically a modified drag car, as long as it's legal on the road. Doesn't matter if it's a Porsche 911 GT3, whatever you want, you can drive it. If you're a learner driver, as long as there's someone sitting beside you, then you're fine to drive what is virtually a race car for the road. But if you're a P-plater, as in if you've gone through your learner driver process and now you've stepped up to being able to be a probationary driver, meaning you can drive by yourself now, you're 18 years old or older than that, you can't drive those electric cars that I just mentioned. Crazy. Because those cars are not actually all that powerful. I'm not even referring to the performance version of those cars. I mean, I'm not talking about the Hyundai Ioniq 5 N-Line, which doesn't even exist yet. Anyway, there's been so much hype around that car, it's crazy. But anyhow, that doesn't exist yet. I'm not even talking about the Kia EV6 GT. I'm just talking about the standard dual motor versions of those cars. Same thing for the Model 3 and the Model Y. Now, these cars don't have that much power. They're all relatively heavy because they're electric cars. Model 3 is not heavy. Model Y is, to be honest, not that heavy either for its size. But anyhow, the EV6 and the Ioniq 5, they're a bit heavier, meaning their actual power-to-weight ratios are not that high. They're less than 130 kilowatts per ton, which is meant to be the cutoff for where it becomes illegal to drive them. But the New South Wales government has gone out of their way to say, no, we deem these as being performance cars. New South Wales government has actually been asked by the media, what are they thinking? The media just contacted them and said, guys, this is ridiculous. Why would you classify these family cars? They're just legit family cars. I mean, basically all-wheel drive family cars that have around, on average, 240 kilowatt of power, which is about what? Just over about 300 horsepower. Really not that much. There's plenty of other internal combustion engine vehicles that have this kind of power, but because they're lighter, significantly lighter, it would be considered to be, well, realistically more dangerous. But remember, these electric cars, they are some of the safest cars in the world. If you look at the actual Euro NCAP safety tests, look at the Chinese safety test versions, the American ones, these cars are incredibly safe. They are far safer than so many other cars out there on the road. They have so many safety systems inbuilt into them. The crash protection's amazing because of the battery, the way the batteries are built into the car. They are extremely safe. Now, if I have my boys, I've got a 6-year-old and a 9-year-old, I'm just thinking to myself, when they're older, what car would I want them to be driving? Now, there's no way in hell that I would say, no, I don't want you guys driving a Model 3 or a Model Y. And I'm not talking about the performance versions either. Okay, if you want to ban those, I get that. But I'm talking about the standard versions. There's no way in hell that I wouldn't think, yeah, boys, I'd love to have you guys in one of those because I know you're going to be safe, right? Same thing goes for the Hyundai Ioniq 5 and the Kia V6. All 4 of those cars are extremely safe. What's really weird about this is I actually was able to interview one of the key ministers in the New South Wales government who is basically involved in a lot of this. And she was really, really progressive in her thinking towards EVs. The New South Wales government has invested hundreds of millions of dollars into electric vehicle infrastructure. And they're doing way more in New South Wales than they are in any other state in Australia. So it's so strange that they have this clearly anti-EV campaign because, I mean, this is some pretty significant models. Take these models away, what can people buy? There's not much left. I mean, yeah, there's models, but they're expensive or they're not available or they're just not very good. I mean, that's why the Model 3 and the Model Y make up what? Like 60% of all electric cars sold in Australia. Now, the EV6 and the Kia EV and the Hyundai Ioniq 5, they're a bit harder to get in Australia, so they make up a lot less sales. I think they're about 5 to 7% of the EV market in Australia. It would be more if there was more to buy, but still, they're really good cars. People like us should be able to buy them. New South Wales government, I think this is crazy, but guys, let me know what you think. Do you think that probationary drivers, as in 18, 19, 20, 21, 22-year-olds, should be allowed to drive these electric cars, these 4 models? Let me know what you think in the comments. I reckon if we get enough people saying, people should be able to drive these cars, they're safe, maybe they'll actually consider revisiting these ridiculous rules, which are banning people from driving what are really safe cars. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.